Welcome to Native Talk Arizona, Native Health's Native American Cultural Affairs program, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. I'm Susan Levy. Stress Awareness Month, held in April, raises awareness and provides the opportunity for an open conversation on the impact of stress. On the phone today to talk to us is Janice Yazzie, Native Health's Behavioral Health Coordinator. Janice, welcome back to Native Talk Arizona. I always love talking to you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for having me.
So before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey.
Yazzie, she Janice Yazzie Yenishye. Look at the initially do trabaha bashishchin. Twatne sani dashiche dos energy edashinale. Hello, my name is Janice Yazzie. I am originally from the Navajo Nation, and I currently reside here in Phoenix. I've been employed here at Native Health for over 13 years. And like Susan, you had stated, my current role here at Native Health is the Behavioral Health Coordinator. I supervise Native Health Mesa's behavioral health team here in Mesa, and I provide clinical services to our behavioral health patients as well. As far as my background, I have attended Arizona State University for my undergraduate studies, and I completed my master's program at Grand Canyon University. I am currently licensed as a behavioral health professional counselor, and I'm also authorized to provide clinical services through the Arizona Board of Behavioral Health Examiners.
Oh my gosh. I remember, okay, I've known you for a very long time, so I see you're a Sun Devil and a Lope, right?
Yeah.
And what else did you used to do at Native Health before you were the counselor? You were in behavioral health the whole time, correct?
Yes, I was. So yeah, I've been here for quite some time. When I first started at Native Health, I was a case manager. I worked mostly with adolescents, and then eventually I became an assessment specialist, so basically doing intakes for all of our new behavioral health patients. And then I went up and then I did the behavioral health counselor position for quite some time. And then so now I'm the behavioral health coordinator, which is just, supervising my team here in Mesa and also providing still clinical services to our clients.
Pretty awesome. And you've done a lot working with adolescents and everybody else. So that's, I guess we'll talk a little bit about stress because that sounds stressful to me. So adolescence sounds hard, but April is Stress Awareness Month. So how would you know what stress is? So is it things that make you anxious, or how would you describe stress?
So the way that I would describe stress is, just the way that our body responds to certain situations. So basically, it's like a natural human body response when we encounter like difficult situations or even when we're dealing with certain challenges. So our natural body responses to stress can show up like mentally or physically due to the stress hormones that our body releases when that person is going through challenges or even difficult situations. So a little stress may be helpful because it kind of like alerts our mind and our body to the stressor, and it can sometimes help us be productive and overcome that obstacle. But it becomes a problem if it becomes chronic or constant.
Okay, so how do you know if it's chronic or constant? I mean, I think if you're in such a state of stress, can you tell if it's always the fight or flight and you're always stressed? Or tell me a little bit more about that.
So, as far as the chronic stress part of it, that's basically when the stress lingers or becomes, kind of like drawn out to where you feel like you're constantly dealing with that stress. Maybe you're always feeling pressured or almost feeling like you're under attack, like you're talking about that fight or flight reaction. And so when that person encounters that fight or flight reaction for a long period of time, then it starts to affect both our mental health and our physical health. Sometimes it's difficult for some people to recognize that they're actually dealing with chronic stress or excessive stress because our bodies are sometimes up to the challenge of fighting these stressors, right? So when stress hormones continue to get released through the process which makes us feel like, we got this, things are going okay, I have the energy, I have the motivation to do this. And it sometimes makes us ignore those signs, and we continue to deal with those challenges, even though, our body may be wearing down. Um, so the way that a person can tell if they're stressed or under chronic stress is through looking at signs, through emotional signs, physical signs. And so when we're talking about emotional signs, the emotional signs can be something like just maybe feeling overwhelmed, being irritable, having trouble concentrating, maybe just feeling scattered and just getting distracted easily. So basically, just kind of feeling anxious or having anxiety symptoms. And then, so when we're talking about the physical signs, maybe we're feeling some tension in our body, muscle pain, maybe we're going through some stomach issues, maybe we're noticing some chest pains or even headaches, or maybe even that person may have some trouble sleeping or trouble staying asleep. So those are some things that, people can look out for in reference to signs and just their stress level.
Uh-oh, I think I'm in trouble. You described a lot of my symptoms. Um, okay, so I think when somebody's under chronic stress or a lot of stress, how do you de-stress? Like, do you try to take a baby step, and does that help? And say, you know what, I'm going to take a few hours off and just maybe do something that I like to do? Or does it need to be something like I need to unplug for a week? I mean, can you do a baby step and make a little tiny change and it helps a lot or a little?
So, you know, as far as the baby steps, I mean, I would say that that would help, because the thing is that as far as just dealing with chronic stress, like, you know, we had both mentioned as far as just basically being in that fight or flight status, right? So otherwise, dealing with anxiety symptoms. So almost everything becomes a challenge, as your body is basically running through this survival mode and it doesn't feel safe in your body. And then sometimes you can't change what you're challenged with as far as just the stressors that you're dealing with. So, just taking those steps to manage anxiety. You can take baby steps, like you're saying, like as far as just practicing stress management techniques at home. Like if you continue to feel like it's too much to handle, like what are some strategies that you can do at home that may help? Or even like what are some things that are interfering with your daily activities? What are, just looking for those signs, and maybe even seeking professional help from your doctor or even through counseling services if you continue to feel like it's getting more overwhelming.
So, yeah, those are all really good things to try. I think one thing we haven't talked about is like self care. And so, for people that aren't familiar, what does the term mean and what is it?
So then self-care, that could be something that we can use as a way to manage stress. And, sometimes when people use the term self-care, it can be more, I guess you could say, used in a general way. But when we're doing self-care, we're taking care of ourselves. So, we're going to be able to be more efficient and basically have more of, like you could say, like a balanced way of life. We allow ourselves to focus on all aspects of our mind, our body, and our spirits, which basically means like our social, our physical, our emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. And so when we're talking about the self-care, I can give some examples in reference to the different types that I just mentioned. So when we're talking about the social self-care, it's important to connect and make that connection and engage in healthy relationships. And some suggestions as far as that goes would be spending time with your loved ones or friends. Um, and then as far as physical self-care, maybe focusing on things that you can do to improve your overall health, your physical health, such as exercising, getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, or even checking in with your doctor for routine visits. And then I also had mentioned emotional self-care. So that could be the part where, you're nurturing your emotional health by maybe doing things like writing in a journal, practicing gratitude, doing positive affirmations. And then another part of the self care that I had mentioned was mental self care. So when we talk about mental self care, we're talking about focusing on your cognitive health, like doing things such as mindfulness activities, reading a book, or other activities to calm your mind, practicing mindfulness, breathing exercises. And then the last one that I just want to mention is the spiritual self-care, which is basically focusing on, connecting to activities that are focused on connectedness. Having meaning and purpose to do something greater than ourselves. And that could be, just simply praying, going to traditional ceremonies, or um, connecting to nature, or it could even be as simple as doing a meditation, mindfulness meditation.
So if it's, I mean, some of those sound, I think when you're mired in stress or anxiety or whatever, sometimes is it like if you're taking a class or an art class or something, that seems like it would be a couple hours to de-stress or to do something that you enjoy, and that would be like a baby step. Would that be beneficial?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because when you're, taking part in that, that could be a mindfulness activity. You're engaging, you're connecting with other people, but also at the same time, you're focused on your art. And so that's basically part of self-care in reference to just being mindful and in the present as you're working on that, because that does relieve stress.
Okay, that's good because I'm taking an art class and that seems to help. I'm not very good at it, but it's fun. So, okay, so I know what stresses, I know that you're a counselor. What stresses most people out right now? Is it listening to the news? I know tax time was recently in the last week or two. Is it paying taxes? Is it families? Is it the same for everybody, or does everybody have different triggers and different stress levels in relation to what's going on in their lives?
So you're right. There's a lot of things going on right now, and there are many things that stress people out, just like the ones that you had listed. Like you're saying, some people may be stressed out due to just the life stressors that they deal with, like maybe losing a job, going through divorce, getting married, whatever that looks like for people. And what we notice is that stress affects everyone differently, right? Because of different factors in their life. Maybe just their personal experiences, how they cope, or it could also even be based on their genetic makeup. So some people may identify that same stressor that we're talking about as something small, while another person may see it as a big problem, right?
I don't know. I think it's in this day and age, I find that the media, and maybe it's just me, I find that listening to the news and looking at social media is super stressful, and that you go down a rabbit hole just looking at things. And I think that makes, at least for me, I try not to do it at night so I can sleep and not think about it. And it just seems to make things worse, the constant barrage of news. And do you find that with a lot of patients or clients?
Oh yeah, for sure. And it goes back to the flight status, like you're talking about, that prolonged exposure that you're talking about in reference to, just turning on the TV every evening, watching the news and noticing that, oh my gosh, I'm in constant stress because of the things that I'm noticing or the things that I'm hearing, and where our body and our brain are not able to recover because it's just constant for that person.
So I guess I'm doing the right thing by not watching any news before I go to bed. I do like HGTV though and the cooking channel, but no politics. Anyway, all right. So does behavioral health, does counseling work for to reduce stress? So if I was a patient, do you see that people feel better after meeting with the counselor? Is it initially? Is it continued? What would you recommend if people think they need to see a counselor? Is that the first step in knowing that you need to do that, or what's the answer on that?
Yes. So then behavioral health or even counseling services is helpful in a sense that, when we do have patients, they come with, an identified need, like maybe high stress level, maybe dealing with anxiety, depression, other symptoms related to their mental health. And sometimes, some these patients feel helpless because, they don't know many of the coping skills that may be helpful for them. So as they go to behavioral health, the first thing that we do here is just go through a biopsychosocial assessment. So basically an intake assessment. And so we gather all of the information related to that patient to see where that patient is and to notice what their identified needs are. And from there, the counselor or provider will meet with the client to identify, what are the goals for us in reference to counseling? What are some things that you would like to accomplish out of counseling? And then always identify their strengths, because our services that we provide, we always make sure that it's strength-based. And then according to that, we help the patient go through the process of identifying, okay, so this is where I'm at in reference to stress, because sometimes, people don't notice what they're going through, but they notice that, I'm going through a hard time right now. And so as the counselor is able to guide the process through whatever services that they're receiving, the patient is able to use that help to recover from whatever they're going through, or even, to strengthen their mental health in a sense that, they're allowing themselves to use more coping mechanisms that may be helpful for whatever they're dealing with.
Obviously, it works, and
Yes, it does.
it's a good thing for people to do.
Yeah, and then just to add to that, as far as just the behavioral health providers, we do have providers at each site location. We have 3 locations as far as Native Health goes, and all of our providers here are trained in different evidence-based treatment modalities that are very helpful in dealing with stress.
Okay. So one thing you mentioned is, well, you talked about lots of symptoms and things like that. So what about stress eating? Is that a big common thing? A lot of people do stress eating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, that can happen. Sometimes I do
Is it that like
myself.
the bag of Cheetos or yeah, things like that?
Yeah, something like that. So some people do stress eat as a way of coping with their symptoms. And so when we're talking about stress eating, because that's a way that they're dealing with their symptoms, even if it's not always helpful for that person, or even if it's not always healthy for that person. So then
that's true. Healthy and helpful both, to definitely not stress eat. But
yeah,
but common. A lot of people do that.
I wouldn't say a lot of people, but some people do that, because, a person may not be hungry, but maybe after a stressful day, they'll just sit down and maybe have, like we said, chips, or maybe they'll reach for the ice cream that's in the fridge, and just to avoid a lot of the stress or anxiety that they're dealing with, to make them feel better at the moment.
I also find that when I don't sleep as well, it's a lot harder to say no to those foods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a lot easier just to eat them when you're tired and you don't have as much willpower. Do you find that also?
I do notice that as well, as far as with some clients that are dealing with like prolonged stress.
Okay. So, and I know you mentioned before exercise. Again, on that, you think, is that any kind of exercise? Do you start baby steps? I know you're not a physician or medical provider, but in terms of exercise for stress relief, is it a good idea just to get up in the morning, get some sunshine, get some vitamin D, and go out and go for a walk, and you would feel better, or something at night? What would you recommend in terms of exercise?
So when we do talk about exercise, it does help, and again, yes, I do recommend that you do start with baby steps, and then also maybe even seeing your PCP, your doctor, to identify, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and getting, um, or having that conversation with your doctor before you do something that's very strenuous to you. But otherwise, as far as the exercise, when we do exercise, it helps to reduce those stress hormones, and like the adrenaline, the cortisol that happens from, having a lot of stress. And so when we're doing these exercises, like even a simple walk in the morning time when it's nice and cool, it releases those feel good brain hormones, or basically they call those endorphins. And so when we're actually doing those activities, even just a morning walk, it helps to release that stress, and it makes us feel good.
Okay, good answers. All right, so one thing we didn't talk about, I don't think you mentioned at all, were pets. So are pets a good thing to reduce stress? I know that when I had my last dog, I found it very comforting just to kind of have her next to me and pet her. And she was always glad to see me if I had a good day or a bad day, or if I was stressed or whatever, and was always there to love unconditionally. Do pets reduce stress?
Yes, they do, definitely. And we have horses, and we cannot live without horses. They give us a lot of comfort. So pets to help relieve stress because, like I said, they provide us comfort. If they keep you company, they make you feel good, then basically we're providing that companionship to our pets, right? And so when we do have our pets, it gives us that sense of purpose because, they also depend on us to take care of them. And so, like you said, spending time with your pet and, just cuddling with them really does uplift your mood. Um, which is just that part of the if we were to talk about hormones again, just those oxytocins or the bonding hormones that get released from that type of connection.
They also love you unconditionally. No matter what kind of day you've had, when you walk in and they see you, they wag their tail or whatever kind of animal it is, and they love you no matter what. They don't care what you're wearing, what kind of day you had, what you ate, what you didn't eat, who yelled at you. They just love you and they just want love. So yeah, definitely. Question for you, off the wall question. What do you find that most people do to relieve stress, like your patients and clients and your friends and family? Do you think it's like going for a walk or reading or knitting? Do you have any interesting or common themes?
So there's a combination, but a lot of it I think is really just exercising, and then also at the same time trying to get into that healthy sleep pattern because that's that really will help you in reference to just relieving the stress is making sure that you're getting enough sleep. So I find that a lot, and then also another thing that I see that my patients like to do is journal. Just journaling, even if it's like a gratitude journal, identifying the things that they are grateful for through the day, or even like anything that would be creative in a sense, like you were talking about art therapy, or just the painting and drawing. That's something that people like, some of the clients like to do as well.
Okay, can I ask you a personal question? You don't have to answer this.
Sure.
What's your favorite thing to do to relieve stress?
My favorite thing to do to relieve stress is either to be with our horses in the evening if it's not too hot, or go out and spend time with my son. He loves to go fishing, so he'll be the one to go fishing and I just sit there and I read my book while he's fishing. So, and then I see, like, in the evening time I would see the sunsets and it's so very beautiful. So that's usually my go-to as far as the stress reliever for me.
Oh, that's awesome. And you get to spend time with them and enjoy the sunset and get some quiet time and read a book.
Mhm.
That sounds very peaceful and relaxing. And finally, Janice, how can our listeners learn more about Native Health's Behavioral Health Department, stress, and how can they contact you?
So if interested in behavioral health services through Native Health, you may go to our website, which is nativehealthphoenix.org. You can click on services when you're at that website and go to behavioral health. So all of the information about services offered through the 3 site locations, so that would be the Mesa location, the Central, and the Dunlop or 8800 location, is going to be in the website. It also gives you more information about how to get started with behavioral health services, and it also provides more helpful information about after hours, like emergency numbers and stuff like that. Or you can give us a call and you can speak with one of our behavioral health staff members, and our number here is 602-279-5262.
Okay, one more question. So when they call in, they do have to do an intake, correct?
Yes.
And that can be done virtually or in person, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then I know that we take excess private insurance, and then also we have a discount fee program.
That's correct.
Okay, so once they do the intake, then they're scheduled for whatever counselor, whatever service that they need, right? That's determined? Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. And I know Native Health, we've got behavioral health, Monday through Friday, like 8 to 5 or 8 to 6, and then there's groups at night?
Groups of several different groups that happen in the evening time. We do have a men's domestic violence offenders group that happen. We have some talking circles that happen. And then in the daytime, we do have some intensive outpatient substance use programs that run. And then also a DUI education program is also available.
One thing that you just mentioned were the talking circles, and I forgot to mention this before. Is that a good stress reliever for a lot of people? Do they find that going to a talking circle, whether it's the community talking circle on Thursday nights with Roy Johnston or the elder talking circles, that's sort of a good stress release?
Yes, a lot of people actually talk about that and they enjoy that, being that, that support is there. Some, as far as just talking about just connecting with other people, maybe going through the same problems or similar problems that you may be going through. And a lot of people find that helpful because they're able to de-stress by talking. And then at the same time, there's, the facilitator, Roy, that is able to guide through the process as far as that talking circle. So it's been very helpful for our clients.
That's awesome. And the talking circles are free, and they're Thursday nights at Mesa, correct? Native Health Mesa at 6 o'clock. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Janice, I can't thank you enough. I appreciate it. I appreciate your wisdom, your patience, your kindness, your empathy. I have such high respect for you, and I appreciate you coming on and telling us about stress, and maybe I'll think about it and do some more things to reduce some of my stress. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Susan.
Coming up next on Native Talk Arizona, Demetria C. Shepard will tell us about the early college programs at Scottsdale Community College. Support for KRDP 90.7 FM comes in part from Native Health, with 2 locations in Phoenix, 4041 North Central Avenue, Building C, near the corner of Central Avenue and Indian School Road, and at 8800 North 22nd Avenue. Native Health is also located in Mesa at 777 West Southern Avenue, near the corner of Southern Avenue and Extension Road. Native Health provides primary medical, dental, behavioral health, WIC, and wellness services for the urban Native American community. For more information, call 602-279-5262 or visit our webpage at nativehealthphoenix.org. Native Talk Arizona returns after this song. You are listening to OFY by Smokey D. Palmtree.
Welcome back to Native Talk Arizona, Native Health's Native American Cultural Affairs program, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. I'm Susan Levy, and Demetria Shepard is the Student Services Analyst for the Early College Programs at Scottsdale Community College, which fosters academic success for high school students and their families. Demetria, welcome to Native Talk Arizona.
Hi, Suzanne, and thank you for having me here.
Super excited to learn more. I know you all do some really great programs. But before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and what you do at Scottsdale Community College.
Yes, thank you for letting me join in today. I'm truly honored to be a part of this show. First off, I'd like to introduce myself in my traditional Diné language. Demetria Chanel Shepherd Ainshia, Kia Ani Nishlin, Tapan Bashashin, that's Ani Dashache, Dosenjikana Dashanale, Sensa des Ahat de Nasha, Adequa Ehos do Kehisht it, Akot Ego et Dinena Sanishli, Bilagana Baza Shesh Tit. I just introduced myself in my Diné Navajo language to honor my heritage and acknowledge my active relatives listening. This is how amazing my late grandparents taught me to practice and embrace our Navajo identity, always recognizing our connections to one another. I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona, and while this city is my home, my heart, my family, and relatives are in the Navajo Nation. My experience in preserving our traditions and language within my family has greatly influenced my personal and professional journey. Currently, I work in higher education with Maricopa Community Colleges, specifically at Scottsdale Community College, or SCC in short, where I oversee 2 American Indian programs in our early college office, Hoopa Learning and Salt River Junior ACE program. I'm coming into my second year at Scottsdale, but I've been with Maricopa Community Colleges for about 6 years. My journey in higher education started at Phoenix College, with my stopping grounds where I began at 15. I earned both of my associate's degree, American Indian Studies certificate from Phoenix College in 2015, pursued an engineering degree at NAU, graduating in 2018, later completed a master's degree in education at NAU in 2022. Education has been a central part of my life, and I take great pride in supporting American Indian programming within the Maricopa system. My work is all about creating and expanding opportunities for our local Indigenous communities and the next generation of college students. Through my experience in college and career readiness, I've truly understand the impact of my role in helping students and families continue their educational journeys. That's what I love to do.
Wow, I did not know you have an engineering degree. That's really interesting. And then you went back to education.
Yes, it's quite a balance of both.
What kind of engineering is it?
I studied in electrical engineering.
Wow, okay. All right. And then you went back to education. Okay. All right. Yeah. So very interesting. I bet you do a lot of stuff. So in terms of Scottsdale Community College, let's start there. They fall under the umbrella of Maricopa Community Colleges, correct?
Yes. There's 10 colleges of us in one umbrella.
Okay. And I hate to ask, but can you name all 10 colleges?
Oh, that's a good question. There's Paradise Valley, Glendale Community College, South Mountain, Rio Salado, Scottsdale Community College, Mesa, Chandler, Gilbert, Estrella Mountain Community College.
Is Gateway under
Paradise
there too?
Valley. And Phoenix College.
And Phoenix College. Okay. So do all of these have like American Indian programs or just a couple of them?
There's a separation between those programming. So American Indian programs is all in separate colleges. There's only 3 major colleges that offer those programs, American Indian specifically. Whereas our early college programs, they serve under the umbrella of early college with the ACE and Hoopa Learning.
Okay, so is ACE and Hoopa Learning at all 10 colleges?
9 colleges. 9 out of the 10 colleges.
9 out of the 10. Okay, all right. So anybody who's interested when we talk about this today, at ACE and all of that, they would contact each school. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So then since you're at Scottsdale Community College or SCC, let's talk about that one. What is ACE?
The ACE program is a program where high school students can start earning college credit in their upcoming 11th grade. So particularly they start applying as a incoming 11th grader, or I would say a rising student in their 11th grade. So they'll apply during the duration of their 10th grade year. It is a scholarship-based program where students earn a scholarship to cover tuition, and then also in addition of the needs that they need in resources when it comes to college. As far as for example, we have snacks for students to help them rejuvenate before classes. We do offer workshops that are specifically in developing personal skills, for example, like time management, getting connected with our own department staff for like financial aid help or questions on FAFSA. So generally it works around the college experience and also getting students accumulated on the number of credits that they earn, and also just to get a sense of building new relationships on a college campus with the peers, staff, faculty, and then just getting that experience prior to going to an actual college campus and also to maybe a university.
Okay, so I want to back up. So you said it's for sophomores now, right?
Yes.
Rising juniors. Okay, so is this the time of year that they would apply, or is it a rolling admission time?
So right now we're in that stage where we have accepted our students for joining this upcoming summer term. They are going to be attending to our upcoming orientation event just to get them started with the next steps to getting admitted to as a high school student who is starting to join college. And then also that part of the scholarship program, it does require a structured curriculum of classes to build those foundational credits. What we call it is AGEC, Arizona General Education Curriculum. And these are the first steps of classes when earning an associate's degree or on the pathway of earning the general studies for transferring purposes.
Wow, sounds like a good program. Okay, so that's ACE. Then what's Hoop of Learning?
Hoop of Learning is designated for our high school students who are part of the state or federal recognized indigenous tribe in the United States. For example, there's a student who has a certificate of Indian blood with Navajo Nation, definitely qualifies to be meeting that minimum requirement. Also, part of the program, we do accept students who are in their 9th through 12th grade. In order for students to apply, for example, this summer, they would have to be a current 9th grader in their second term or a junior who is becoming a senior next year. And then for those students who are graduating this year, it may not apply to them because they'll be actually graduating high school, and this program is designated only for students who are in their high school grade year of this academic year. Part of the Hoop of Learning, too, it is a scholarship, so we pay for their classes. In addition to similar to what the ACE program does, as mentioned earlier, like with snacks, workshops, and also opportunities on field trips. For example, I'm working a few field trips for our students this year that includes like going to a university partner at Northern Arizona University or going over to conferences. But there's a lot planning for this summer and fall, so we're just looking forward to working with both of our student cohorts in the ACE and Hoop of Learning.
Okay, so can students, so it sounds like the Hoop of Learning has a wider range of admission. Well, it's freshmen, right? Freshmen and seniors, except second semester seniors, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so first semester for those students who are in their on their ninth grade year, they apply
Okay.
during their second semester to join the program.
Okay. And then can students be in both Hoop of Learning and ACE, or just is it one or the other?
No, so students would have to apply to one program. So, like, for example, if a student is missing their tribal affiliation documents, we can switch them over to the ACE program to meet that minimum requirement in the program.
Okay, but they can't do both.
No, they cannot do both.
Okay.
It's only one program to apply for.
Okay. And then, so what's the Salt River Junior ACE program?
Our Salt River Junior ACE program is a program designated for our students who are in their current 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
So it's for just tribal members of Salt River?
Yes, it's designated with our Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community tribal members. And what's nice about it is a collaboration with our Salt River schools partners. And so they help us recruit those students to join for a summer experience. And overall, the program, it is focused on STEAM, focused activities, personal development opportunities, hands-on learning, educational field trips, and also we do intend to invite guest speakers, and they would promote their experiences when it comes to culture and language.
Okay, so I've got a question for you. So you said they're for SRPMIC tribal members. Does that mean, so that means they have to have a tribal ID, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That is one of the main requirements when it comes to that partnership with Salt River, is that students have that SRPMIC tribal affiliation, either that is a document form of a paper or photo ID. Also for students, another qualification is that students who participate in Salt River schools, or they are in an elementary school, or another way for us to be flexible is if they have participated in a program or they are returning to join the program. So it's pretty flexible when we invite those students to join our Salt River Junior ACE program hosted by SCC.
What a great opportunity. So I've got a question. Do people often go from Junior ACE, so the Salt River Junior ACE program, and then can they hop into ACE or Hoop when they're in high school? Or they're allowed to do both when they age into it?
Yeah, so that's what's nice about our programs for our Salt River Junior ACE. It's a pipeline program to one pipeline program to another pipeline. So for students who are residing in our Scottsdale community, so let's say if there is a SRPMIC student.
So it's a pipeline to another pipeline program, which is fabulous. And I'm sure that you've seen a lot of success with this, right?
Yes.
And so then the kids are more encouraged, or the youth, to stay in school and continue their education. Do you think is there an impact, or are you seeing test scores? Or are you seeing just students continuing in education? I mean, what kind of impact do you see with the youth?
I do have an example of one student in particular. He's a 11th grader. When he was I believe he said a 6th grade, and he told me that at a young age he was able to see what SCC looks like, and it's just right behind his door, his backyard. And he has told me that he's not fearful of college, and he's also a current student in my program in Hoop of Learning. And he told me about that being opportunities like this at an early age gave him the confidence. And it also gave him the confidence to push forward in his schoolwork. He told me he's one of the best students in the classrooms, and also very active in his student clubs. and he has told me that he's been excelling his grades, which is nice to hear because I can see that he's holding a leadership role in his high school and also showing an amazing work. His confidence in college, he's not bashful to ask questions, and he's very involved of what we do in our office. And he's definitely a great student that I'm plotting towards him because he's something that I can see that he's showing some leadership down the road.
I can't imagine how that makes you feel, being the difference that you've made in their lives and that in their education, and what an impact it's going to be. I mean, that he's not afraid to go to community college. That's a big step for kids that are in junior high. I know that they're intimidated by people that are older and moving faster and more things, and what a testament to what you do. So I know that you said Salt River Junior Aces this summer, right?
Yes, that is happening this upcoming summer.
Okay, and how do people apply, or is it the parent that applies or the youth that applies? Who applies, and what's the process?
The application deadline is approaching. It's on Monday, May 12th, to join the 2025 summer experience. To be eligible, like I mentioned earlier, that students must be in their current 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade for the current 2024-2025 school year and meet one of the SRP MIC requirements that is available on our website. More information can be found there. There is an interest form that we tend to have our community to fill out so that they're able to send their information, and then we're able to connect with them to let them know of the requirements. We do have an upcoming orientation families to attend. Our orientation is on April 22nd, I believe. I might have to double check on that, but I know it's coming up soon. That is correct. April 22nd on a Tuesday evening. It is a back-to-back session 1, session 2 in the afternoon starting at 5. So we definitely want to encourage SRPMIC tribal members and families to consider this free opportunity to apply before May 12th.
Can you get us the JPEG so we can get that posted on our social media, one, and get the word out for you, and we can also put it in the newsletter. And then the other thing is, can you tell us, one, either the website, your phone number, or your email on how people can get in touch with you?
Yes. So we can definitely send you a copy of our Salt River Junior ACE flyer for you guys to distribute to families around the valley, and also to maybe just spread the word of that this is a free opportunity. Parents, families don't have to pay a nickel. You can find me on our SCC website. Simply go to www.scottsdalecc.edu and search for early college. On the website, you'll find a landing page which will provide all the necessary contact of myself and my team. We are available by mail or email, phone, and depending on your preference. We're open during regular business hours, Monday to Friday, and we encourage drop-ins at SCC. If possible, we do highly encourage others to email ahead of time so we're able to be prepared on what information that you're looking for.
Okay, one more time. Demetria Shepard, and what is your phone number?
Yes, my office phone number is 480-425-6644, or you can reach us on our main line at 480-423-6271.
Demetria, thank you so much for coming on. I did not know about Salt River Junior ACE program. I also didn't know the difference between ACE and Hoop, so I hope our listeners will take advantage of those programs and learn more and apply for those and utilize them, because it's I I know it makes a huge difference, and I talk to a lot of leaders in town, and I know they've been through those programs, and it's a great stepping stone. So thanks for taking the time to chat with us today, and we appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me so much.
Thank you for listening to Native Talk Arizona, presented by Native Health and 90.7 FM KRDP. Our executive producer is Susan Levy. Sound engineer is Javier Quiroga. We hope you will tune in again next week. If you have any questions, please reach us at nativetalkaz@listentokrdp.com.